Welcome back, everybody. We're heading to our third game of the day. A bit of a cool down after that Fnatic Rising and Kova match, which was a bit of a stormy one. It's now Singularity versus Barrage. Another important matchup in this Group B as well, because 5-1 for Singularity, 4-2 for Barrage. Barrage can level the standings here, as well as Singularity be able to catch up to Fnatic at the top of the table. But it is, again, an important matchup for those second, third, and even first places in the group. So again, keeping our eyes peeled, seeing how this one transpires as we head into it.
I think this is going to be, in general, the battle of the bot lanes. There were a lot of talks about which one could be the best bot lane in the NLC. I usually side with my boys over in Barrage, Sefe and Kevo, but we've had our talks before. Next Scandal, you said, well, I believe Dragster and Frostfair, are up there to challenge them. And I think this is going to be a better bot win scenario here.
I definitely agree. And I think, in particular, for me, Dragster and Frostfair have just been on another level. Their synergy makes it look like they've played together for such a long time, which is really refreshing. But I think we've had a lot of strong bot lanes so far this season, and I think it will likely come down to that in a minute, just to see what gets picked up, because we've seen a lot of trading back and forth. We've seen the Kai'Sa, we've seen the Misfortune, a bit of Aphelios, and none of them are getting knocked away as of yet. I think Barrage could look to take away the threat from Frostfair. It's been something that a lot of teams have prioritized, and he has really done a lot of work on when it's been freed up for him to use.
Yeah, absolutely agree. We'll see where Barrage go with their final ban here. Again, Thresh has been targeted quite heavily against Frostfair in the opening ban phase. The first 3 bans against Singularity has often featured that Thresh, and it is the Thresh ban that does come through. Now we're going to see what the first pick comes through for Singularity. Of course, we have a lot of options. I did talk a little bit earlier about Vasor's Aatrox in the right scenario. We should keep our eyes on that. But Singularity have a lot of power picks up, like the Kai'Sa for Dragdar. Although Dragdar does play the Aphelios, so that's something that we could consider into the Kai'Sa. But again, power picks all over the place right now for Singularity if they want one. But they're going to go for the Seraphine, which has, I believe, been banned in the previous 2 games. And obviously my son is incredibly upset about it, as you can hear him in the background.
This is the absolute baby raids for Seraphine getting locked in, because she's just so oppressive in lane. Her cooldowns are really short on her poke abilities, and they're also so large that they can cover usually half of your lane. And her ultimate is just a no-go for dives in the backline. And talking about dives in the backline, Barrage did exactly that. They locked in the Kai'Sa, they locked in the Hecarim. Again, Seraphine is one of these champions that really easily shuts down these dives in the backline due to her shield, her heal, and the massive taunt.
Yeah, and I think when I look at these champions for Barrage, you already got your work cut out for you, because if you just dive in at Seraphine in one direction, it's so easy to hit a huge ult, follow up with the root and the stun. I mean, Xayah as well. It's like, it's so hard to approach already this backline of Singularity from one direction. You need to be approaching from multiple angles. So I'd like to see even more dive from Barrage. You've already committed with the Hecarim pick, with the Kai'Sa. You need more so you can approach from multiple angles. But for Singularity, I think potentially a jungler would be a solid pickup here for Nulty. Just secure yourself a good matchup where you can apply some of that AD pressure. Lilia potentially is something he is keen on, and obviously the sleep allows a lot of defensive control.
We'll see. Barrage have got one more pick on this first rotation. Again, as you said, not entirely keen on just going for a straight up support. Yeah, they look like, I mean, Aatrox is being hovered here. If that gets locked in, it's a Mummus champion. We know that Mummus plays incredibly well as well. I mean, it's not just something that Vasor is capable of playing. Mummus has had plenty of good performances in previous tournaments with the Aatrox. But Nara is one of the more common blind pick top laners that we often see get locked in, and Mummus will take that.
Yeah, solid blind.
Sorry, go on, Hawks. Go on, Hawks.
Solid blind pick, and also another diver. Another thing that's going to get in the backline and cause issues. And right now, Singularity have only squishy champions. Only champions that will kind of get run over if they don't use their defensive tools correctly. So I think for support in particular for Singularity, I don't think it's going to be that Seraphine. And I'm interested to see what Frostfair takes to try and create that zone of control in the defensive play.
Honestly, I would really love to see Rakan, because all these taunts and all this survivability on the side of Singularity, basically their team so far is come at us. We're ready for the dives, we're ready for you to engage us, but you also need to have a very strong tool to re-engage yourself if you need to and pin someone down. And I think Rakan has a really cool engagement option with the Xayah there as well to keep people safe. He has so many tools that he can get in and out with as well. And as for the now locking from Mummus right there, I love the hover on the Aatrox first, because that's the pick that Quasar popped off with last time. And he was like, you're allowed to pick that. I've got my 9 hand.
Well, let's see where we end up this final rotation. Again, 2 more picks available. I wouldn't be surprised after this ban to see probably like a good blind mid locked in, because I think you're assuming it might be Seraphine mid for Fury. I mean, it's something that we've seen more of rather than Seraphine support realistically. So maybe you're assuming that you're going into Seraphine mid here and you just take your mid laner at this point for Barrage.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of blind mids that you can take. They can just contest priority effectively. We've seen the likes of the Galio, the Syndra, the Orianna, all solid picks here for random. I think taking a support could be risky because you can end up being counterpicked. But, the counterpoint is a lot of supports have been banned away, so you do get priority on that. But this does give a window for Singularity to say, okay, we know what they're dealing with in the bot lane. But, as Trouble said, a lot more all in.
And it's really easy to actually pick the Rakan right here because I think it was Mickey X who sort of explained the 1v1 scenario, the 2v2 scenario with a Rakan and a Leona. The Leona can only go one way, whilst the Rakan can go one way and return back, especially when you have the Xayah. But Galio would be absolutely perfect here as well. We saw the magic that Tiara was able to do with this champion could also be a protective tool or an offensive tool, depending on what top lane they're going to choose to go with here. Could very well be something like the Malphite to try and again dissuade that engage and create one themselves, but all the Sion.
I really like these two coming in as like a big front line for the team, able to cause disruption, particularly the Galio, which I fully expect to be support. I think the Seraphine is a bit too squishy than Leona, but the taunt just covers such a wide area when the enemy team are approaching. It makes it really difficult. And if you do manage to get onto the backline, you have the ultimate, you can use that big knockup, and there's just a lot of strength available there.
Let's see what the final pick is going to be. Obviously, they're still waiting for the mid laner. It is going to be Kassadin in the mid for
yet another diver, I guess.
We haven't seen any Kassadins this split in its entirety, I believe. So Kassadin has not been played in the NLC as of yet, I don't believe. But these are the 2 comps. Guys, we're going to have a few moments before we head over to our casters. Just brief closing words on these compositions and how you feel about them.
I'm just really worried about the Kassadin because yes, he is a spellcaster, but he is going to largely suffer, especially in the laning phase. The spells from Seraphine cover a huge area and he's gonna have to walk melee to get these creeps. So I'm a little bit worried. Like, yes, does this go to late game? Absolutely. We saw what the Kai'Sa can do. A Hecarim, a Kassadin with full items can actually wreak havoc in the backline, but you need to get there first. And Kassadin really does struggle getting there.
Yeah, I feel like Singularity have the ability to set the pace in this game just because that mid priority is going to be there for them. And then it's really Barrage playing catch up because they need to wait until they find the right window, but also be at the right item points. I just think I'm favoring Singularity on this. I think they have the easier job, but there are definitely still tools for Barrage, but they really need to weather the storm of that Kassadin pick before he comes online.
Well, we'll have to see. We're in our 3rd game of the day. Ghoulborg and Hip Rain are ready to take us through it. It's an important match for Group B, so let's see how it plays out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back as we're getting ready to go into game number 3. Me and Turtleneck Ghoulborg getting ready to jump in for Singularity versus Barrage. Kassadin getting locked in, mate. Talk to me about that one.
Yeah, so we've seen some Kassadins in Artelia leagues, and he is definitely not the same Kassadin as you saw in Season 10. Now, with Seraph's Embrace no longer giving you that shield, with the new mythic items coming in, like, it's totally a different story scaling with Kassadin now. So we've even seen points where when you did hit that 16, he just didn't have that impact and that oomph. And I'm afraid that, as Orc said, SNG is going to set the timer of this game. So obviously there is still late game leverage. The Kassadin will still be a thing in the late game, and so will Kai'Sa, we've just seen from Bean. But when you're not dictating the pace, we have seen Barrage in the past faltering and try and go for some of these desperation engages out of nowhere. So what I'm hoping to see from Barrage is that they can keep their cool, they can keep their heads cool and calm and collected, so you don't actually fall into these traps of saying, oh, we need to take a fight. No, because you do have the scaling. But I'm looking on these early neutral objective stacking from the side of SNG. If they can get them rolling, well, then you might be on a timer for that soul.
Timer is the big thing here in this game. I think, when you look at Kassadin, Kai'Sa, father and daughter on the Rift, they do scale pretty hard. But I do worry about the early game. I look at everywhere else and I'm like, okay, so you're going into Galio Zaya. That lane on its own isolated is going to be really nasty. Sure, Kai'Sa's great, and she actually does have pretty decent synergy with Leona, because Leona can help you stack the Void stacks, and you actually get the extra damage. But ultimately, it's going to be a rough lane. Seraphine's fairly neutralizing, can just shove the lane constantly into random. He's basically just going to have to farm underneath tower, and that will give Nulti priority to move around with Fury at his back as much as possible. That's kind of what I'm thinking about the early game. And I think we look at the last game where like Kova got ahead early and were making plays at least to get the objectives and get these souls going early for them. But Singularity, the kind of team who I know that if they do get ahead, they're going to run with that. And that's my worry for Barrage right now.
Yeah, and specifically Prosper and this Galio as well. If you keep having priority onto the map and you let him loose without containing him, we've seen so many times what he's able to do once he's out of the back, once he's having an influence on top side, once he's having an influence on mid. Luckily, there's not the best junglers or the best members of the team to go in and have a Galio, but you could be looking for that pain train, unstoppable onslaught for Vaisal into the ultimate for Galio, and that's kind of what we're looking for in these team fights. You lob the front to back. And on the side of Barrage, Orcs touch a bit on it. You want to see them come in and flank from all sorts of different angles. And they have the agency to do that. You have an arm, Momus with the TP, you got Ghost and the Hecarim, Leona as well, that can come from flank. So I'm looking for Barrage to be a creative team in this game as well.
Well, we had a slight pause at the beginning, hence why we were on us for a little bit longer. We weren't just admiring Gulborg's fashion sense. Singularity are taken to the bot side. I will never stop Steve Jobs. And it looks like they might just go for a bit of a group invade here.
So I'm curious to see if Waster will actually back as well. I think he will. But, you know, the OG cheese with Cyan was that he would just stay in bot, wait for the enemy bot lane to get there, and then have a fully charged decimate and just kill them. You can't clinch the knockup without flashing after, so that obviously used to be a strat, but not what they're opting in for. They want to take it normally, and they are getting back onto the map, and seems like we are going to have both junglers playing the same side of the map, so both starting out on the top side, so we could have some skirmishes around an early scuttle, and then it's just about who's going to have the priority for that. Well, newsflash, you got a Kassadin in the mid lane, not the best guy for keeping that priority. Oh, you're going to get early. No, they're not going to find the ward. No! So the thing is, if you get that ward, then you get level 2 as a solo lane on the first wave. And that's huge for getting priority, but ward is placed too deep, they do not get it, and nothing happens.
Well, nothing happens. We start it up. Junglers on the same side of the map. Top side be clearing downwards. Means we could see... Ooh, Nulti. That ward is going to see him.
He thinks there's no vision, but he spotted. I don't think they're going to be able to punish it, though. There's no priority.
It's a level 1 Kassadin. Like, what's he going to do?
He's going to stare at me. That's what he's going to do.
He's going to come in a queue.
So yeah, this is really niche. Like, despite being on Vision, there's just nothing you can do on the side of Barrage there. And once again, we saw it with the lanes on Fnatic and SNG displays it again. If you have that mid lane priority, well, you can just go for a free counter jungle. Nothing's going to stop you. And that's just the power of these early skirmishes. That's the power of the meta right now. If you got junglers to play for, it's no longer the junglers playing for the lanes. It's the lanes playing for the junglers, so they can come in and go for these small counter jungles, try to get these XP leads, which is extremely beneficial to be going for these neutral objective skirmishes that we see so often in this meta.
Nice little trade early here from Mumus. Wazel's going very, very low. Whoa! What happened there?
And that's just great placement from Mumus. You can see he's staying just outside of the turret range. He really knows his top side here. And this is a matchup that's really cool as well. I'm a bit sad we see Wazel on the side because these are extremely good top laners, both of them. And we've seen them both on carry sides. We've seen them both on the weak sides. But this time it's onto Mumus on the Dinar to keep the pressure up. And you know what? He's doing a dang good job at it.
Yeah, it really is. Well, the rest of the map is getting shoved in. Mumus is shoving in himself. Wazel has to burn all of his corrupting pot stacks just to stay in the lane.
This is also beneficial because it means that if a scuttle fight will break up here in the second scuttle, Mumus will have the first move. So I think Debo is going to be able to get away with this one. He doesn't have smite though.
Nolty not going to be able to steal that one away as the charge isn't going to quite land. The ghost has been used by Deepu and Weasel has to flash over the wall. Nolty with the double buffs on with the speed up will be running Deepu down and Fury finds himself first blood. Mumma's about to gnaw out and Nolty may just have to flash away to safety and he is able to get out of there. Weasel needs to be a little careful. That is a lot of health back on Mummas and finds himself a slam. Could be feeling the hurt.
Yeah, but in the end, a successful skirmish from the side of Singularity. They did have the top side moving first, but once again, Kassadin not able to move, and that means Deepu gonna have to let his life go on that scuttle. Does get the scuttle, but I mean, Nolty definitely having the tempo in the early game, and this is what we wanted to see from Singularity. You dictate the pace of the game, and so far they've been doing a good job at it. Now it's just, what can they translate it into? There's 30 seconds until we have the first Drake spawning. As soon as resets has come through from the bot side, I can expect we will start to see some fights around that neutral objective.
Are we going to see fights? I hope so. We've already seen some action, a little bit, for that first blood.
A little bit of an action, you know, not much, but it's some of these cool skirmishes I really like in this meta. Like, say what you want about junglers being too boring. When they're played around properly, I really think you get some cool match in these small skirmishes that really can turn out the favor of a game.
Yeah, really can. I actually always love their Lilia Hecarim matchup as well, because Lilia is so irritating for Hecarim. She just dances around him constantly, getting the more and more movement speed as she lands more and more spells, and he just slowly gets fried by her passive and just poked out slowly but surely, and it's so irritating for him.
Knowing you, I thought you were going to say something along the lines like, look, they're both horses. That's a really cool matchup.
They both have 4 legs. And she's a deer or a reindeer. Well, she's not even a deer. She's a...
That's not a reindeer. It's more like a...
That's a reindeer.
That's not
Turn around, Nolty. Look, he's got the horns and everything.
That is not a reindeer.
But she's actually a centaur.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's reindeer horns. You're just flat wrong here.
I call it a dual corn.
A what?
A dual corn. Instead of a uni, which means 1, you get a dual corn. So like
you know reindeer have horns and they have 2 of them. And they're a real creature.
Do you know, like with birds, like how people thought they were a myth? I'm gonna be the same way around
Who
reindeers.
thought birds were a myth?
Like
what? What are you talking about? Everybody sees birds. They're everywhere.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a conspiracy theory for another time. First Drake will be picked up.
No, I'm not dropping this. Dragon's down. There we go. What do you mean birds are myths?
So there's this theory that birds don't actually exist, but there are droids or drones by the government sent out to spy on the people.
Oh, people are idiots. Okay, thank you. I know. Cool. If you believe that, you're a moron. That's where we're going to leave that.
You know what? I'm inclusive. If you believe that, I'm down to have a conversation and convince you otherwise. You know what? I don't think this hate helps anyone, Jake. Stop calling people morons.
There was a potential look at a dive bot lane, but it was only going to be support and AD, so they decided to pull that one off. As Nolty, once again, getting himself some chicken nuggets.
Most certainly is, and they're almost out of chicken nuggets. No, they're actually resetting on the chicken nugget stuck there, so... Random trying to get in and help him, and
this
you know what?
So irritating for Deepu.
Yeah, I know, but at least he gets one.
Raptors.
At least he gets one, and Nolty's just back onto his own side here, so... With the first objective going over to the side of Barrage can actually have massive implications for them, just because that their composition really wants to scale. So the fact that you buy yourself 5 more minutes, should Singularity have priority on the next neutral objective, is so key for your composition. You get to scale with the Kaiser, you get to scale with the Kassadin. That's just so neat.
It is very neat. 8 minutes on. 700 gold lead at the moment for the side of Singularity. Bot lane, we take stock where we are. There's a bit of a CS lead picked up for Kevo, but partly down to the fact that Prosper was rotating around the map with Nolty, looking to try and set up the plays there. That's just Sion things about that.
Yeah, this is why you never TP onto a minion against Sion, right?
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, still doing pretty good, although Weasel yet to have gone for a reset as of late. So we'll be looking to do that fairly soon. Noon Quiver's picked up in both the bot lanes. For the most part, it's just component items. Singularity, though, they did lose out on that early dragon, and their answer is going to be a little bit of a delayed Rift Herald for themselves, but with the push they've achieved in the mid and the top side, Pretty much a freebie for Nulty.
And here's
We'll be able
another
to take
thing,
this one.
like, you get the Rift Hell, which is obviously nice for getting some tempo plays when you have a composition that does well in the early game, but at the same time, with Momus TPing up towards that top side and Wazer almost having his back up, that means you're going to have a TP advantage for the next Drake, so you're probably not going to be able to contest that from Barrage unless you decide to move Momus down, so you're actually in a really good spot everything considered in this early game for the side of Singularity here now. But I mean, it could easily change. Debu is pathing towards down this bot side, or maybe he's just going to give over random this blue buff, and then we might have a skirmish around this little scuttle here. It has bought towards the top side, or bot side here, but it is just going to be forfeited, it seems. Or is it?
Oh, you say that. Random's coming in. Prosper on a ward. Dragdar making his way over as well. We might be in for a skirmish for a bit of Crab. As Dragdar is going to get poked up pretty heavily by Kevo. Crab continuing to go bot side, and finally, Nulty will steal that with a smite. Secured.
In the end, Crab does go over to Nulty. A bit of time wasted. Oh, I mean, it's not wasted. It's gained in the end. And we go back to the same kind of map state that we just had. And just taking a look at the map state, it's not really much to talk about. Bot lane is fairly even. Mid lane should start to push towards this Kassadin. But, you know, all things considered, Random has been doing really well onto this lane. They're both sitting at 98 CS. So as Kassadin, this is the dream scenario. You're just doing fine. And Fury, obviously, they have to make something work with that pressure he's able to gain. Mom is on the top side, trying to do some stuff against the Sion, but...
Oh, he's timed out. Oh, no. This is actually such a weird matchup. They're fine. Nobody dies. It's top lane.
Yeah, it's... I mean, Wazel was almost winning out on that fight just by doing nothing and just by standing there, so that just tells you a little bit of this matchup. But obviously, Mama's only sitting with a pickaxe and boots, so Stride Breaker or whatever he's going to opt into is not ready yet to really deal the damage against a tank like Sion.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a ways away. As Wazel obviously will be getting a bit of extra health from his W. Always nice for him. Get some tankier and tankier as this game goes later and later. Now, I haven't seen this Rift Herald actually being placed yet by Nulty. He's used a fair amount of it up as Random will get slowed down by the beat drop.
And with this, Jake, 30 seconds or 20 until this next Drake spawns. And mid lane priority, I mean, I can confidently say that it's probably Fury that's going to keep shoving Random in. And with the pressure from the bot side and the junglers around the mid lane as well, it's really hard for Barrage to step up. Even with Seth in the back, like, not much you can do here. So I kind of want to see Waystar take a step back and then maybe utilize the TP advantage they have around this fight. I think it can be tough to contest if you are Barrage, but they are posturing for a potential contest.
It's interesting because I feel like Barrage can just give this up. They were quite happy considering the state of the lanes that they were able to get that first dragon. Like, that's not something we would have expected coming into this game. Is you would have just assumed they would have given up the first early dragons. And ultimately, it's going to slow down a soul condition for Singularity. So honestly, I think if you're Barrage, you're actually quite happy with that. 3 dragons for either team until they get the soul. And it's going to be an Infernal map, which is, you know, this Kassadin's going to hit different with that.
And that's, yeah, but I mean, realistically speaking, them stacking it up, I don't see it happening. But as you just said yourself, like, they should be really happy that they were the one who got the first Drake. So you just buy yourself those 5 extra minutes, right? And now, Jake, you talked about this Rift Hell. I mean, it's almost timed out, and there's just no setup for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally no setup. He's going to probably use it mid lane. Sion's just ulting back to top lane. Save TP that way.
And there you go.
And Rift Herald gets used mid. I mean, if any lane's going to use it, I guess mid is the lane where you're going to get the easy shove in. They do still have that encore. Random able to avoid dash away to safety.
Could have a bit of a skirmish here, though, for it. Everyone's moving towards the mid side. Bot lane is pushed out, so nothing to lose there for the bot laners. Herald comes through, and I would like to see Barrage just back out here before they come into a chokehold.
Oh, they are looking for it. The blade came out from Seth, but didn't quite connect it. So Tower will lose a few plates, ultimately. Pretty chill, though. The Everfrost is finished up for Random. And he now has a root to work with.
Getting buffed next patch as well, so, I mean...
Is it?
Yeah, it is. So, I don't know with what. I just saw that it was getting buffed, so, I mean... I think it's actually in a pretty decent state right now for the champions that does utilize it, but I guess we'll be seeing some of that when Random pops off.
I guess the thing about it is it's quite a niche item. Like, there's not that many champions that do build Overfrost still. But
yeah,
I've seen
but at the same time,
build it. I've seen Kassadin's build it. I'm not sure who else I've
seen Aurelion Sol build it.
Who does?
Those. Aurelion Sol, but you don't see that champion very often, though. That is a niche champion in its own right.
Yeah, so it is kind of niche champions are the ones building it at the moment. So I guess they want to see what they can do about that. As lane's going to get pushed in once again in the mid lane. Surprise, surprise. To be honest, like you said, Random doing a good job. He's actually up in farm now.
Yeah, and I think the pace that this game has had is just perfect for Barrage. They don't need to do anything. As long as Barrage they can stall this game, then they're happy. It's on the side of SNG to start pulling the trigger whenever you feel ready, and I'd say that's just about now. You have your mythic item on the Tractor, Fury is sitting on his Leander's Anguish as well, and Nolty also coming in with the Sonya's Hourglass now, which allows you to flash forward, Q, ult Sonya's, and then when your Sonya's is out, well, then the whole enemy team is asleep. So that's kind of the combo. That's usually where we've seen it happen in the LCK and the likes of LPL as well. So nothing new there either by delaying your mythic.
Well, Herald's up, and probably this is where we'll see some contest. This is where we'll see some kind of fighting for this.
Because I feel like essentially as Barrage, like, you don't need this. As I said, like, you're happy by just stalling out the game. So I think the only reason why you're putting up bodies here so you can actually just have random farm waves uncontested in mid. No, they're actually walking up.
Yeah,
they want this
there is still an encore available to Fury, but
look at Waste in the mid lane. Look at his position. That could easily be an insane Sion ult.
Yeah, they come in actually onto the taunt. Random shifts over the wall, doesn't get hit by Prosphere's taunt, and that is a Rift Herald secured for Singularity. They could use this to crack mid lane as the Everfrost is thrown out just to clear the wave and to send a message to Prosphere. As Weizor just trying to hold the wave.
I swear he's taking more damage auto attacking Weizor than he's dealing at this point in time. Like, that is just reality right now. But Mama's doing a good job by staying down towards this bot side. As you can see, he's a level ahead, 30 CS up as well, and it's just because Weizor, well, essentially he's a weak sider. He doesn't need all that many resources to get the items he needs. They're fairly cheap for the components as well, so that's why you move him up like this. But you also have to pay the tax that kind of is by giving a Gnar the pressure to work with as well. But Drake,
was able to clear through this wave. We got the dragon spawning up in 30 seconds, which is about perfect for
yeah, but Mama's just TP top.
Hill.
Mama's just TP top, so I think they're just forfeiting this. I don't think they're contesting this. I don't know if this was a mistake or something they actually discussed.
I'm assuming this was the plan. Gonna use the Rift Herald in the mid. Part of me thinks they probably didn't need to. They probably just get this anyway. So they might look for a second charge out here. Dibby's gonna have to charge up his E just to make sure he gets away. Doesn't want to get put to snoo.
To what?
Snoo. Have a nap.
But snooze, isn't that what you do when you're alarmed if you want to sleep longer? Like, oh, wait.
Well, no, snooze is just having a short nap.
Wow. Alright, Momus is coming down now, so he TP'd in, tried to get some damage now, and now he's back in the mid lane while they're taking Drake here, so... They might actually try and contest it. I think they will. Fury is really long gone, so this is a split fight if they opt for it.
I mean, it's Gatekeeper Galio, though. The Dragon actually resets a little bit as the Solar Flare comes down, then Flash forced out from Prosphere, but Dragon picked up. That's the second one for Singularity. Again, kind of harking back to the fact that Barrage got that first Dragon. This would be sole point if Singularity had done that. They got a teleport coming in the flank. That's going to be the encore. It's not going to hit anybody. And Dibu jumps away to safety, taxied out by Fury, but here comes the charge. Only hits onto one as the Galliot slams into the ground, knocking up two. Mumus is going to get himself into the big Gnar form as he gets locked up and tanky enough to survive everything. Singularity force a lot and gain nothing.
And that's the crucial part, Jake. You're absolutely right. Barrage, once again, they just want to scale. And Singularity just threw everything at them and gained nothing. Yes, they got the Drake, but that was already a given objective. So as Barrage, you're feeling quite comfortable. You're only 300 gold down, and you got 12 onto Random now. Like, I can already see the spams in Twitch chat with the Monkey S almost level 16. And Kevo also finding his item soon. Got the upgraded Q, got the Gale Force. So they're opted in for a lot of mobility in these fights as well when not going for the Kraken Slayer. taking a look onto the gold, only 400 gold down onto Kassadin in this lane. And that's not bad considering that Fury has gotten a kill. That makes them almost even just in terms of, you know, general CS farming. So that's perfect coming in from that side. 80 carries even as well.
Oh, Mumus getting jumped onto here. Does Stride break away to safety? So Dragdar not going to be able to find him. One tower down. A bunch of damage into the bot lane and mid lane tier 2. But, like, really for the team that we wanted to see win early, they are not a lot of gold up.
So
right now.
yeah.
And that is actually a scary, scary trend for them as Random just getting more and more free time here on the Kassadin. He's got the Sheen, so working towards the Lich Bane, also working towards the Ceres with the fully stacked tier. I don't know, man. I'm starting to sweat a little bit if I'm Singularity. Is Fury forced to flash from the Solar Flare. Pretty nice play there.
Yeah, great roam up from Steph. They're going in here. Kevo's feeling it.
Yeah, he's really feeling it. The charge is going to come in. Nolty's actually able to jump away to safety, gets himself the Swirl Seed down as Kevo has to cleanse from the Lilting Lullaby. They do find themselves a kill onto Prosper. And uh-oh.
Alright, I think we're past that point where Singularity drives the tempo, Jake. I'm kind of sorry to say and worried for my own prediction at the same time here because you got a team with the Kaiser and Kassadin that's setting the tempo now. They're the one being proactive, and you said it yourself. We needed that from Singularity in the early game. They didn't really do all that much. You lost the first Drake. You only got to do a bit of counter jungling, and you would have preferred to be on Soul Point now. Like, this would have been fine if in 2 minutes, then you could potentially have the Infernal Soul, but you're not. Barrage has just been doing a really good job at keeping their cool, keeping the lanes pushed out, and specifically Momus in a side lane is just continuously getting objectives, and that puts extra pressure onto them. That means that Barrage keeps opening up the map. It enables Seth to get out and roam as well every time Kevo gets the priority, and that's where we see it. Fury's flash getting forced, the pickups in these small skirmishing. Barrage are really starting to come online now, and we're not even seeing them at their peak.
Yeah, I also want to bring attention to the fact that Random has a 200 gold shutdown and he's 0-0-0. This is the Kassadin who's got a farm shutdown. Not what needed to happen here. As Prosper gets his taunt interrupted by the Q from Random. Seth's taking a lot of damage, but Dibby looking to jump in. Prosper justice punches forward. Dragdar has to be careful as the Solar Flare gets dodged out with a Feather Storm. Random pings back to safety. Health bars and Barrage are a little bit low as Prosper's the only one who really got chunked out there. Mumus trying to get a little bit of something done into Mumus, but 1 minute until the Dragon spawns. Teams can just reset. This damage isn't going to stick.
Yeah, 1 minute until the Drake spawns, and I think we should have the cooldowns up and ready again. So essentially, it's just a fight for priority we're seeing right now. It's the fight for getting the vision down that will help secure the Drake, and it's Barrage winning out on these fights. They are the one who can continue to push, while Singularity, they're forced to back this whole time, and that's not good. That's not a good trend when you're playing against the scaling compositions. We've been over it so many times, but just take a look at the minimap now. Like, who is it that's running around in Barrage red side or Singularity's red side jungle? Well, that's Barrage. 30 seconds to Drake as well.
Can they get set up for it? Random's going to take the third tower, so they're tied in towers. And it feels like at this point, we're in pretty good steadings here for Barrage. Singularity maybe looking to set up a pick before this goes down, but that Squire's Bloom was really, really nice. And Sesk used the W to make sure it kind of mitigates some of the damage on the Swirl
Look at the
Seed.
TPs now, because you don't own a single part of your jungle. They're trying to force a fight in mid while Random is coming in from behind. They're trying to create picks here.
Charge getting channeled up by Wazel, not really going to do anything. And really, really nice stuff. Kassadin spotted out. Random needs to be a little bit careful, has to jump away. And now Prosper, he's the one who actually may have found himself a pick. Random slides in, looks for the Everfrost, can't quite get it, has to jump back as the feathers get pulled. Able to dodge the CC and the snare. Barrage are losing a fair amount of health, but Mumus has gnawed out, and that's the scary point. Charge is actually going to miss everybody from Wazel over the wall. And Dragdar now, he's actually isolated. No Feather Storm for himself at the moment. Just about to come back off cooldown. And Barrage is doing a really good job of keeping themselves toe-to-toe with Singularity right now. Swirl Seed not going to hit anybody. Once again, they can't find themselves that sleep target. The Dragon's been started up, and this fight could go anywhere. Here comes the charge. Gets the knock up onto one. They're going to use all of the CC onto Mumus and take him out. The Lilting Lullaby was used there. The Galio Slam runs in. Random caught out by the Encore and shut down by Fiore. This will be Soul Point for Singularity.
But how bad does it feel to be a Cassidy and you just have to farm the whole game and then you have a shutdown all of a sudden because you did well? But great setup from Singularity in that fight. Waiting out the Naba, so as soon as they saw Momus was just onto that range farm, they opted in for the fight, and that's when it finally happened. But I don't think it's over yet, Jake.
More action. More action. We saw a Hecarim steal away a Baron earlier. Can Dibu do it? Can he follow in Kova's footsteps? Was it Kova? I can't remember. Anyway,
It was Kova.
Barrett's half health.
You ruined a cool moment.
I did. I really did. Teleports are coming in, and Singularity, they might just have their cool moment ruined for themselves. They do find a snare onto Seth, but Seth's really kind of okay for this. And Singularity just going to get forced out of their own blue side. Swirl Seed, once again, not going to hit anyone. Nolty just going to pop over the wall. They're getting stripped of their jungle. They're getting stripped of a lot here. Dibu
The Naba.
looking to go in, but it's going to get forced out. Like you said, the Narbar charged up. And Barrage forced the Baron off from Singularity.
All right, so no Baron. I think that there is never a world where you're actually going to be able to take that Baron either. You don't really shred it that much yet. Then you stay alive another time, but there's only 3 minutes and 40 seconds now until that Infernal Soul is going to be up for grabs from the side of Singularity. And heading into the replay, well, we can see Momus trying to tank the jump so Random won't actually get hurt, but he's just getting instantly bow off. And it's really hard for him to navigate a fight here. If you are Barrage, you're a composition that's designed to dive in with the Na, but you just couldn't make it happen. You had to tank for Random and you fell down.
And Hop's close. He's going to lose his red buff. There's a Prospect's actually getting locked down here. Kevin's going to do a lot of work to him. They just find the kill. They got this lilting lullaby to put them to sleep. The cleanse comes in. Random slides forward. Fury uses the beat drop to try and slow him down for the moment. As Muma's charging forwards, Dragdar slowed down for the moment. Encore still available. They're waiting for their opportunity. Random dodges away from Wazor. Everybody is grouped up. Big knockup into a big Encore. The charge is huge. The damage is massive as well. But Wazor will lose his life. Zombie form won't be able to find anybody here. And the fight continues. Nolty has to go golden. Dragdar being chased away, and now he is all alone. That is one dead bird. Random's able to get the kill, and Barrage bleeding health bars.
Look at those health bars.
Gonna start the Baron up.
All right, Prosperate's coming in. He does have the hero's entrance. You can heal up with Fury here on the Seraphine as well, so it's not all over. Like, this can still be a risky fight from Barrage.
Here comes the Galioar. They're looking to go for this one. Trying to run interrupt, but Mumus has jumped in already. Got himself a stun off, but he's lost his life to Fury. Kevo has to flash away, and Prosper is actually just 1v4ing right now. He has so much damage finally taken out. And Barrage, yeah, I think you maybe bit off a little bit more than you could chew there, my dudes.
Alright, my word. Muma's actually losing the flash in that little skirmish, and I think that's going to be incredibly pivotal when Drake is going to be the next big objective. You can see it all starts from this. They know that Debo recalls, so they're feeling confident in trying to take this red buff, but they just don't have the damage to knock down Seth. He goes in and Prosper instantly takes him down, and you know what? The funny thing is, well, Prosper is going to respawn for the Baron fight still and come back onto this one, and it's really easy for the side of Barrage to keep going onto this down. Really slick ultimate from Random, essentially ulting over Wazor, and then this coming out from Seraphine. Like, I mean, these fights are absolutely hilarious to watch. There's so many small details to pivot down to as well. So in the end, like, it is a fight that you win on the side of Barrage, and I think you could have been happy just with this, as you said, blinking HP bars. And if you just walk out here, well, then you have the priority for the Drake setup. Then you have the gold that you just won out of that fight, but they decide to be a bit greedy. Mummers, Waste Flash, still die. Prosper, as you said, essentially 1v4s in the backline, and that was just an incredibly long and extended fight that I don't even know who turns out in favor for after analyzing that.
That's my response to that one. 30 seconds. That was my Hecarim impression, by the way. 30 seconds until the soul comes up, and Wazor getting jumped onto by Random and Dibu.
We used to have a Danish caster who would always make that sound when Hecarim altered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's not a caster any longer, but he was definitely very vocal about that.
Don't worry, it's not something I'm going to do on the regular.
Alright, screw that. With 15 seconds up for this Drake, there is the soul that can be available for Singularity. Now take a look at the summon spells. Kevo outside of Flash, and that are some of the key members we need to take care of. Drak does still have Flash himself, so
Blank.
the backline damage can be sick from the side
Blank
of
from
Singularity.
Dibu. Looks like he's going to hold it for the moment. As jumping in forwards, they're looking for that opportunity. Fury wants to pull that trigger. Random slides in forwards, gets the Everfrost off, and Wazor pops the ultimate to dodge out on the snare. Prosper still zoning Dibu away for the moment as the Swirl Seed hits onto Kevo. Not going to look to put him to sleep. Dragon's continuing to keep this going. There's Nulty going to get jumped onto. Steph's going to put a lot of damage out as the feathers get pulled, and that's Nulty securing himself the kill. Prosper looking for Dibu. Muma slides in forwards. Only Nars one back. The charge comes in from Fury. Here's the Galio, only making a bit of a zoning tool for the moment, but Dragdar remaining untouched. The knockup lands onto Dibu. He is inside the bounce house right now as he is just getting bopped in and out. The health bars on Barrage are too low, and Singularity should be able to get themselves the soul.
Oh, and they do have TP, so if you wanted to, Kevo earlier or Random earlier could have backed and TP backed into the fight, but now Infernal Soul for the side of Singularity, and that makes this situation even harder for Barrage, but 1 level to go. Hit Brain in. We do have the infamous level 16 on Cassidin in just a moment.
And he's still got a shutdown from Farm, but as we're looking back on the fight, yeah, just really good. I honestly think they played around this one bush really, really well.
Essentially, it's really good vision as well. Like it's the 2 pink wards you can see from the side of Singularity that makes this so hard to fight as well for the side of Barrage.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, it feels like the next kind of thing we might see a bit of exchanging of blows. Might be over this Baron buff.
But let's take a look at the inventory here, Jay, because Lilia here with the Moonstone Renewer in these extended fights, dare I pull a classic Orcs and ask the Observer how much it's healed?
No, don't give it to him. Don't, you give him.
I will be nice. I will be nice.
Go on then. Mats, take it away. Give us some numbers.
He's not doing it.
He always does this.
Man, I really feel like there's favoritism among the casters here because he always does this for Orcs, even when Orcs just put him
He
down
reluctantly does it for Orcs.
Yes.
That's what we talked about bass guitars earlier.
Yeah,
there we go. That's
there we go.
Better. Normally it's like 3k, and Orcs goes, hey, that's Simba.
Yeah, exactly. But 4K.
Actually, probably the most we've seen here. So, yay! Seth gonna take it adrift his way over there and get the slam up, but he's locked down. He's gonna lose a fair amount of health. No, he's not. He's Scion.
I mean, that's a fair amount of health considering he's a big tank. But yeah, he just loses some HP and walks out with most of it still intact. And with these items, with these extended fights, that's where we see them really shine. And 3 items as well on the Seraphine now, Magic Pin, the mana item as well. Like, you got everything you need here. And Cassidin just hit level 16, just ready for this fight around Baron now.
It's go time, but already the Baron's very, very low. Dibu maybe launch to steal this one away. Pinkwood's in the pit. Are they looking for the 50-50? No, they're going to peel away. Mummus in Gnar form. Great Featherstorm into the charm. Everybody is caught inside the CC. Singularity laying it perfectly, but Dragdar solo. Random jumps in, gets himself the kill. That's the double onto the Cassidin. It's level 16 time, and Kevo is going to slide forward. There's a shutdown in response. Barrage's health bars are low, but it's exactly the same for Singularity. Barrage come out on top, and they are going to look for this Baron.
Fury and Wazer has TP, so they can easily back and TP and try and demolish some of the low HP members. Dibu's almost dead. He had to smite. They're leaving now.
Time and time again, Baron is just a bait. It's just the biggest bait. Let's have a look at that fight again.
I mean, going into it, I think it's a good way to turn here, but they just instantly get blown up by the Now ultimate coming in here. The Seraphine, nothing to say here, but a great hero's entrance. But this is just a chokehold that is so hard for you to find against champions with so much mobility, like the Kaiser, like the Cassidin, and that's why we see them come out on top here, because you've got a bit of a binary champions. The Scion can only do so much with a decimating smash, and if they all dash around it, well, it's hard to work around the CC in those extended fights.
Oh boy, Dragdar's life is getting harder and harder. 4-2 Cassidin. Got the stopwatch as well now on the inventory, so working towards that Zhonya's. As we can see the gold graph over time. Barrage, it's been sneaking up for them.
It is, and obviously there is still some hidden gold on the map with the Infernal Soul and 3 Infernals on the side of Singularity, so, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if we could call this a pretty even game in terms of power between teams right now, but you need to take this Kai'Sa into consideration now, the Kassadin. Kai'Sa now with 3 items, Collector as well, so the AoE damage coming out both from the Kassadin, the Hecarim, the Nas, and just the finish up, clean up from Kevo could be crucial for the next fights. And 1 minute and 40 seconds until the Elder Drake. Baron is still up and available. There's going to be a lot of neutral objectives to fight around for. So what I want to see both teams do is try to have the minion waves push out, get in and get that vision, go back for the minion waves, because obviously they bounce back, and then try to set up the objective, try to bait a fight, try to get a pick or anything around the small vision pocket that you can create. And you can see both teams are trying to do that right now.
Yeah, they get the Swirl Seed onto one. Can we just talk a little bit about how Kevo's like
Whoa!
almost Flame Horizon here? The Lilting Lullaby is going to land, but there is no follow-up, so that's a big cooldown wasted. And Dibu's on a flank. He's holding the wave here. Crossfair's just going to look for moments. Random almost one-shots Dragdar. Big ulti that's going to come in, and they're going to get the interrupt off. Dragdar able to get away to safety. A big knock-up as well to follow. Health bars are low on both sides again. Dragdar will be able to lifesteal his way back into this, but Random, he is starting to hurt really, really bad.
And that's the thing with the low cooldown. So the Rift Walk, you see him, he ults in, baits the ultimate out of Dragdar, forces the flash, ults out, and that's what he continuously does. That's also how they force the Lily ultimate. It's all random in this Kassadin. In, out, that's all he's about.
I'm not. Yeah. Elder Dragon, by the way.
Yeah, 20 seconds, and you know, we were talking about go in and fight for some pressure, fight for some vision. There's not all that much vision around it. You got 2 great pink wards right now from Singularity, where you saw they won the fight around those bushes, but it's Barrage time to get in and establish some vision on their own, and it wouldn't surprise me if we saw fight break out around this vision just to get the control.
And remember, this is like the best go time. Dragdar, no flash, no ulti. And there is a hunting Kassadin looking to run for that level 17, trying to get over that wall. Dragdar staying on top of everybody right now. He does not want to get caught. Random will be finally seen on the ward, but this Elder has already been started up. And Singularity, they can't play too cautiously or they just lose Elder. And Random then will one-shot. Pretty low health for the moment. Random just waiting in the wings, waiting for his opportunity. Has been seen on the ward. Elder continuing to get fired away at. They do find themselves a quick taunt, and Seth has to jump away. That's a big encore into the solar flare. Dibu looking for the charge back. They had the blast go to get himself working. Mummus slides in forward, gets himself the slam back, and Prosper will lose his life as Random enters into the fray. Can't quite get himself an opening yet. Elder will reset, and it's a 1 for none, but the health bars still remain low on Singularity. Kevo and Seth have to be careful here. But the big pick is 30 seconds still on to Prosper before he's able to rejoin with his team. Random.
Oh no, he's on vision. Dragdar's on vision.
Over the
no,
wall,
he failed it.
Frost. Oh, has to jump up with the Featherstorm to keep himself alive. As Wazor also going to get found out by Random. Random did a lot of damage, and now Mummus comes in with a stride breaker, slowed down by the beat drop. Teleport available to him in a moment, and Prosper coming up in a few seconds time. Elder is going to get started up though. Dragdar needs to sustain and keep himself into this. The teleports are coming up, and look at that Elder Dragon. It is slowly but surely being taken out. Nolty could be on the receiving end of some random love here. Is going to go to sleep as he's going to have to use the stopwatch. They're looking for the knock-up. They're looking for the flashback, but that is Elder going to get secured. No time for Singularity to get into the pit. Elder Baron for Barrage.
And you've seen how many times people have crept out just with the sliver of health left, and now with Infernal Soul onto the, not Infernal, but the Elder Soul onto this Kassadin, I'm starting to feel a bit worried for Dragdar and Fury in these scenarios, because it's going to be so hard for them to get in there. Just this zone control from the Kassadin. Let's take a look at the replay here. I can't believe Seth didn't die here. Like, it flashes out, and a great engage, even a 3-man sleep. But no one dares take the Blastcon over, so they all lift. There was a moment for you there to go in and get Zephyr and Kevo while they slept, but you just couldn't. And now, with the Elder Drake, with the pressure on the map, Baron buff is being started up by Barrage.
We late game now. And we've been late game for a while, but we're really late game now. 4 items on the Kassadin, closing on in his final. 4 items on the Kai'Sa, closing on their final. Baron, Elder, Singularity, they were on a timer, and they were just scared. They were just indecisive. They didn't make a single play, and they just slept on this game. And now, what do? You got level 18 Kassadin, you got level 17 Kai'Sa, and your carry is level 15.
Yeah, so you kind of pray for that, like, just perfect fight where you get, like, the sleep on everyone, perfect front to back for Weasel. But the problem is that you never get that because of all the mobility you have on the side of Barrage. Even Kevo and a champion with lots of mobility like Kai'Sa opted in for the Gale Force instead of the Kraken Slayer because he knew that he had to navigate around these fights. He knew he needed an extra agency just for it, and that's why it's so hard for Singularity to get an entrance.
And that is it. It feels like it can't even find the pick now. It's almost too late. They're able to clip through these waves for the moment. So now they may be looking for somebody here. Seth's going to go in. Encore only clips onto one as Kevo slides in. Solar Flare's there. Mumus finds himself the kill. Seth low health, but realistically, he ain't going down today. Gifted the Elder's going to find the kills. Weasel will get a bit of a splash damage from that Infernal to find himself a kill, but it's 2 for 1. Support for top and jungle. Really not what Singularity wanted to be doing, and this could just be the base getting cracked open here.
Yeah, it's just desperation from this point of Singularity. They opted into a fight against the team with Baron, with Elder Drake, and you know what? Obviously, you never want to do that, but at this point, they probably thought it's that or the Nexus, so they had to go for it.
Oh, Mumus actually catches on. Oh, that is going to be Dragdar going down. Dibu able to secure the kill. Will lose his life, but ultimately not really going to matter too much to him. As Random getting jumped onto. Just Riftworks to safety. 40 minutes on the clock, and the Nexus has been absolutely smashed open. This is Barrage taking the win. I'm just going to say it. I didn't expect the team with Lilia to be the ones sleeping.
Wow. Wow.
I mean,
you came up with that one yourself. We get some claps for that one.
I don't want to kick a man or a team while they're down, but they unfortunately just didn't really do much.
No,
and yeah,
I agree with you. I honestly agree with you. I thought that you had a lot of priority to work around in the early game, and had that Drake come down like in the early stacking, then maybe this would have been a whole other game if you had Infernal Soul just 5 minutes before, but you didn't. It was honestly really well played from Barrage. I love the way they navigate. Honestly, a lot of people will be sleeping on them and say, well, Barrage didn't do anything. Well, that's exactly what their win condition was. Just keep stalling. Don't get too level-headed. Like, just stay level-headed. Don't get too hot-headed. And just wait out the game. And they did. As soon as they knew the game were in their favor, even before Kassadin level 16, they started taking these fights. They started getting the leads. Elder, Baron, and in the end, just a game. I thought it was a beautiful game played by Barrage. They played to their composition.
Yeah, well, you have 3.5 minutes. Go open your window, have a look out, and see if you see some birds. They might look like drones. Who knows? See you after this break.
Let the sparks fly into a summer night. We're going eye to eye, running to the future blind. Running to the future blind. Nothing really matters. My midnight sun, taking out the darkness. And it's only just begun. And it's only just begun. Tell me all your dreams and put them on your sleeve. We're going eye to eye, running to the future blind. sparks fly into a summer night. We're going eye to eye, running to the future blind. Next to me, nothing really matters. My midnight sun, taking out the darkness, and it's only just begun. And it's only just begun. Running to the future blind.
Waking up, the sun is rising. We can go anywhere, do anything. Put your hand in my hand, let's explore. Travel places no one's been before. Leave your fears and hear you calling. Wherever you go, wherever you are, your beauty's unique. Melody so sweet, our differences make our union so great. Together we weave perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. Together we will be perfect harmony. Let's get lost in a forest of green.
Welcome back, everybody, to the NLC. Barrage upset the scales, obviously not in favor of Trouble. She did actually predict Barrage in this particular matchup, but everybody else went for Singularity in this instance. And now we are sitting in a situation where Singularity and Barrage are tied in the standings. This is a great result for Barrage. It's a much-needed head-to-head win. It also puts them in better contention for going for that second spot in this overall group.
Honestly, I don't think I ever doubted Barrage. I told you that Better Bot would win, and Better Bot did win. Kevo had 0 deaths at the end of the day. And random, before we break down anything, before we say anything about the game, this guy single-handedly got them the Elder Dragon together with the Baron. Him zoning the Zaya at the last seconds and getting her ultimate, leaving her at 20 HP, doesn't allow the ADC to go back into the fight. It's a 4v5. Lilia approaches, almost kills her too. It was so good.
Well, look, before we dive into this much more and we have sort of the breakdown of the game, I've got Debu here to talk to, so I'm going to bring Debu in for an interview. First of all, Debu, congratulations on the win. This is a much-needed win over Singularity, especially in Group B. How did you guys feel coming out of the draft? Did you feel like you kind of won draft and felt confident coming into this game?
Thank you. And yeah, I think our draft was a lot better since enemies drafted heavy AP, and we know that Random is really good on Kassadin, so felt pretty good.
Yeah, you guys played it out really, really well. And obviously, this is a really important win for your chances in Group B. So obviously, you're already pretty comfortable in terms of getting a playoff spot. I think it's given the way that Group B is shaped up, there is a clear top 3 and a clear bottom 3 in this group, and you're obviously part of the top 3. You're 1 win away from Fnatic Rising's standings. You're now tied with Singularity, and I think you might be even now on head-to-heads with Singularity as well. So obviously a big win overall there. How do you think, are you chasing first spot in this group? Are you trying to look for a comfortable playoff spot? What are your thoughts on how you expect Barrage to perform throughout the remainder of this split?
The goal obviously is getting the first seed, obviously, but it really comes down to Fnatic now, dropping a game, hoping for it. But I think we have the shot to win the whole thing. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
So obviously I asked a lot of teams at the start of the split, are you thinking about European Masters? And a lot of teams are like, no, not even bothering. Like, let's just take it a game at a time. Is that something that's crept into your guys' chatter now? Are you thinking about European Masters now that you're in a spot where actually it is a realistic possibility?
Yeah, I think everyone's been thinking about it from the get-go. For me, at least, last year I was in EU Master Play-ins twice and was one game away from getting to the main stage. So this time I'm gonna get there for sure.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. Honestly, this Barrage roster does look really strong. And as you said, Kavo, I think you've got a really strong bot lane to work with as well, which is always a good thing in this current meta. Kavo is an absolutely excellent AD carry. Guys, honestly, even though I predicted Singularity to win, I'm actually really happy that you won because you've made the group really interesting. You've kept the group alive. I think there's going to be a real fight for the top end of the table. So I'm hoping we get to see you guys continue that path and maybe even challenge Fnatic a little bit in this group too, which would be really nice also. So honestly, Debu, thanks for taking the time to chat to me. And hopefully we get to see you continue to win.
Oh, thanks for having me.
All right, Orcs, I believe it is your time to shine on the old Professor segment, so we're going to bring that in.
Yeah, so in this clip, I kind of want to highlight something I talk about a lot, which is when one team has a dive composition and one team has a load of peel and really good anti-dive, which is what we had in this game. So we have Singularity who are setting up in this Baron and actually puts them into a really uncomfortable position because Barrage are able to find themselves a really slow approach. And you can see we're going to have the TP coming in here from the top laner. We're going to have Random who can dash over this wall. We have a long sort of roam coming up around here from Debu. And then we have Sefe and Kevo coming from this direction. And what this does is it makes it very difficult for a lot of Singularity's tools to come out effectively. Critically, things like the Seraphine ult, like the Xayah ultimate. So as you play the clip out, they instantly recognize this is an uncomfortable position. And they actually try and engage on Kevo and Seth over here. But quickly, Barrage start to collapse in. And instantly you see where the problem arises. So the Seraphine ult ends up flying out in this direction and hitting no one. It does catch the Gnar, but Random coming from here and Debu are just completely ineffective. And Dragdar, he has to ult to get away from the Gnar combo, but it just puts him in a really difficult spot. Yes, the Gale Force comes in. Yes, all this AoE CC comes in. But something that actually helps Barrage here is the Infernal map, because it allows the bot lane to move in round here. And still, Random is still coming, ever coming. And now Dragdar is down Gale Force. He's already down his Flash. He's now down his ultimate. And you can see from this position, he just isn't able to do anything. Like, when he finally goes down, there's members coming and attacking him from this side. He has no way he can walk. And I think Barrage just show an absolute masterclass of how to approach a team fight if you're playing a dive comp and the enemy team has really heavy anti-dive. And this fight is still extremely close, but ultimately without the Xayah, Singularity just run out of steam. And I think this is the sort of point of the game where Barrage's scaling hasn't really kicked in and Singularity still have a fighting chance. And that was pure execution that gave that over to Barrage.
It was a good set of team fights, and I think Barrage just slowly got towards that late game, you know, that level 16 Kassadin meme that everyone throws around. Well, it was a reality in this case. He just was able to essentially one-shot Dragdar most of the time, or at least force him out of the fight, and became almost impossible to play AD carry at that point if you're Dragdar, just having to... like, at one point I saw him having to use his ultimate, so he avoided a Kassadin Null Sphere. That was how bad it had got for him in the late game, and unfortunately that's just how it is when you play versus a Kassadin. But look, guys, we have one more game to go tonight, and of course it is a bit of a banger. You've already seen some Twitter banter between the two teams. It is Tricked versus Nordavind. I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. We'll see you soon.